Put on your mental track shoes and run with me. This is the Pow Wow with Myra. Welcome, everyone, to another episode with Kameel Jackson. Thanks for being here.
Yep, 100%. Thank you for having me.
So Kameel, tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Yep. So I'm Kameel Jackson, former athlete of Sam Houston High School. I identify my collegiate experience with the Oklahoma Sooners, where I accepted an athletic scholarship out of high school. And since my playing days were over in 2014, I gravitated toward athletic consultation. So that's anything that an athlete may need to better his career, no matter the level that they're at. / personal trainer, movement specialist in the DFW area and surrounding areas. I also run a nonprofit organization titled Standout Incorporated, where we aim to provide underserved youth and minorities with resources and tools to be successful.
Oh.
Yep.
And what's the name of that organization again?
Standout Incorporated.
Okay,
Yep.
Interesting. So have you always been an athlete?
100%. Yep. Since I can remember, just growing up, even before organized sports in South Bend, Indiana, we would play, football, basketball in the yard and whatnot. And once we were old enough to play organized sports, it's funny I say we a lot because me and my brother were always, hand in hand, left and right.
Okay.
But as long as I've been old enough to play organized sports, I would say I've been an athlete.
And have they been like football or a variety of others?
Variety for sure. Mainly football, then of course basketball, and then track once I got to junior high and high school.
Mm-hmm. Where did you grow up? You just mentioned Indiana, so.
Yeah, I would say I mainly grew up in between Everman, Texas, and Arlington, Texas. Yeah, a bunch of my early roots that people are unaware of were in Everman, Texas, a little sub-city, I guess, in Fort Worth. And then that was like through my elementary years, and then moved to Arlington like 6th grade, junior high years, and kind of got rooted there.
I see. When did you find out that like you wanted to pursue like the and as far as your career goes, like athletics or football? When did that light come on, or how did it happen?
Yep, I would say I've always like loved the game of football for sure, but not until maybe my freshman year became a reality that hey, I could probably get an athletic scholarship, or I could try to go professional, and take it to a bigger level than what I used to just kind of think like I'm just playing football as a kid, having fun, doing what I love. But then when college coaches start walking in the building and asking about you and asking for you, then you start to kind of ask yourself questions like, what can I do with this? So that's really when I started. So I would say my freshman year of high school for sure.
Okay, so your freshman year, sometimes people grow up saying this is what I'm going to do, but for you it was on your freshman year when other colleges started kind of asking about you. And so how did that feel? Did it feel surreal? How did it feel for you in the moment?
It just felt like it was the next stage. Like we were always kind of, I guess, raised to know that we would have to go to college at least, and it was never like high school was going to be it. So I knew that college was going to be in my future. How I was going to get there was probably another question, but I would say that the feeling itself wasn't really surreal as much. It was just like, okay, it's happening now for me. Like, this is the part that not that I used to look forward to, or that I knew was coming so much, but just kind of like the next phase for an athlete, I guess. And if I could backtrack a little bit, like I always wanted to go to the NFL. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, those kids writing their journals like early. Like, what are you gonna be when you grow up? I want to be an NFL player for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. But I didn't notice it being a reality of mine until I really seen like my freshman year. Like, okay, I'm really good. So
Mm.
that's where that answer kind of came from, you know.
Okay. Okay. So I see. So it sounds like maybe in some sense you kind of wished for it and you're like, oh, like this is it.
Right, right, 100%. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Well, that must be a pretty cool feeling to have.
yeah, 100%. Just when you get like, growing up playing the video game, watching like playing with colleges and whatnot on the video game, they come into the offices and they ask about you and want to pull you out of class. Like that can be a little surreal when you're like, man, Kansas is here or Texas is here, or Bob Stoops is walking through Sam Houston High School right now looking for me. Like those feelings feel really good. When you kind of just know like what you want and kind of see it happening, I would say.
Yeah. So in prior to, getting to high school, what was your training like in football? Like how how were you just a natural athlete in football where and when you got to your freshman year and people started looking at you,
Hmm.
or how did you prepare
Prior to high school,
prior to high school, prior
uh,
to that moment when you started realizing like, okay, this is
yeah,
happening?
it was just pretty much natural from that moment. Just not out of anything like cocky. Just at that age level, you're not really back then. You're not really training as much to obtain those goals. You're kind of just playing football, having fun. You're doing the
Hmm.
lifts that the junior high requires you to do with the team. A bunch of throw up tackle, and just going outside playing football. That's kind of just how that happens. And then you start seeing like, well, some older guys out here that I'm playing with, and I'm kind of holding my own. So that's how you kind of gauge that early.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I'm, kind of curious. Like, did you like other than the high school or junior high, did you have any extra like personal training?
Not at that point.
No.
Anything extra came after me. Just trying to make sure I was either as good or could keep up with my brother at the time.
I see. Because being a freshman, I mean, you're at the beginner phase of high school,
Hmm.
so when colleges are asking for your name, it's not like they sure they have plenty of seniors and juniors
Right, right.
who had been playing, right, and maybe a little bit more experience. But then as a freshman, I think that's pretty incredible
Yeah.
that they're already asking.
So when I say like freshman year, we're going into like that freshman year, just going to that sophomore summer,
Mm-hmm.
and that sophomore year when I'm about to be on varsity and whatnot, and I played freshman. I played 7-on-7 with the older guys at the high school my freshman year, so that allowed me just to kind of get in the faces of those guys. I went to college camps that summer as well before my sophomore year to get on their radar a lot more and have them kind of take notice about who I was and what was going on.
Yeah, and at that point, you already knew. Okay, you're going all out.
Somewhere, yeah, yeah. We all
We're
in
going
now,
somewhere. Mm-hmm.
invested.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So then you graduate college, or you go to college, and how was that experience for you?
Um, it was a little rocky. It was good at first for sure. Just being like I said, I signed my letter of intent to go to Oklahoma. I started 9 games as a true freshman. Things were looking really good. Um, and then like on the football field, things were really good and promising for the future I wanted in the NFL one day. But I didn't handle some things the right way outside of the football field, being not going to class, just thinking I could worry only about football and not my academics and I would be a-okay. Well, it doesn't really work out that way at that level. Those guys are giving you that scholarship that's worth so many thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they expect you to uphold your end of the bargain by going to class and meeting the criteria and requirements, that you're supposed to. So,
Yeah. So looking back now, why do you think you just kind of dismissed the academics a bit, and or what where was your focus?
so I said my focus was on getting to the NFL at that time.
Okay.
Like I wish I was playing nowadays because that's those guys are doing a lot of. But for me back then, excuse me, it was after I started those games my freshman year. 9 out of 12 games. I'm like, okay, I think I'm going to the NFL. Like, I'm at one of the most prestigious universities. My stats are looking good. I'm poised for a good sophomore season. So that second semester after my freshman year, that fall, second semester, I'm like, class? Like, I'm not going to class. Like, I don't need to. Like, I'm going to get to the league. And just having like a immature mindset at the time, and being a freshman and not really looking at the full scale of life, like, well, football is still not forever, no matter where you take it. You still need that education. You still need to, excuse me, and you still need to just be disciplined in various, spots, or just be very disciplined in whatever you have to do to kind of get things done. So I was really crossing off one of those things and not the other thing that I should have been doing.
Yeah, yeah, and I ask this because I'm sure you're not the only one that, just kind of goes to college with a scholarship for a sport, and then, just kind of go all out without paying so much attention, like you said, on
Right.
the academic side. So if you could go back, how would you have handled it?
I'm just handling my business better in the classroom. So it wasn't a thing of like failing. I just wasn't going to class.
Right.
I'm like, well, we got we got weights in the morning. I'm at weights. We got practice. I'm killing. I'm doing good. I'm good. And
Okay.
then at that level, we have class checkers at every class. They have a a a, um, a row with your picture on it, and someone's standing out there outside of your class checking off if you walk in or not. So every class checker, like, well, Kameel not in class, he's not in class, he's not in
Mhm.
class. And then I'm showing for practice and I'm not missing any football related, requirements. And it just came back on me. So I would definitely just handle that a lot better.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. But and overall, like, what did you expect when you went to college to start playing ball? What were your expectations, and
Uh-huh.
was the reality similar, or did it differ from what you
Um,
expected?
it's a good question. I would say that it kind of differed more than I expected it to be. Like what I thought it was, like, and that was good and bad. So I seen like the workouts, I would say, was like more intense than I thought they would be. Um, the coaches expected you to be a lot more mature than what you probably would have been as being an 18-year-old young man going into college. Like, you really gotta handle your business, for what they're kind of handing to you. Like the saying, to whom much is given, much is required. Like, I kind of missed that. Um, because you are supposed to, be like, you're not a kid anymore. You're still a young man. Like, if I look at an 18-year-old, 19-year-old now, I'm like, that's still a kid. He's still going to mess up a bunch, but they expect you to, you know, excuse me, but like, let them hang a little bit and grow up fast and take care of your business. So that was a lot different. I would say the talent level was a lot lower in some areas than I thought it would be, and then it was really high and disciplined in certain areas. So I've seen some of the I've seen some low talent at the college level that you really don't expect to see,
Mm.
out of scholarship athletes. And then I've seen some guys that are really disciplined and, you know, really mature in how they handle their everyday routines and how they carry themselves. And you don't really think about those things too much.
Mm.
Especially back then, just because it wasn't a lot of movies. Social media wasn't booming like it was, so you don't get that outside looking in like you do now. But yeah, then just I would say the academics were a lot easier than what I thought they would be. Granted, my last answer to some questions, but it all just came down to applying yourself, just like at any level. If you show up,
Mhm.
sit in the front of the class, ask questions and spend a little time studying, then you'll probably be fine.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And so how was it, the integration from going to high school with your buddies
Hmm.
and, people you probably played with for maybe even since junior high,
Right, right, yeah.
to going to college and meeting a whole set of, new guys? How what's the complexity on that?
I would say you just kind of get to see like different playing style. Well, from an athletic perspective, you get to see different playing styles out of
Mm,
guys. And I always say like guys from California play a certain way. Guys from Florida play a certain way.
really? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just like something in the water in different states that make guys like move a little different or what they focus on and what kind of allows guys to be successful and then what they continue to do at the next level. So it doesn't really change too much. I know I love to see like at Sam Houston we didn't have like it was mainly like either you were African American or Mexican playing football, but at the next levels you get to see this your linemen are really big like country boys, and I never seen like 6'8" linemen and
Mm.
6'5" guys, and guys that were just different in stature. And then at those levels, everyone's trying to get to the NFL. So for the most part, everyone is like they pass the eye test. Everyone, if they're not that good, they think they're really good, and you don't really see that in high school too much. So basically, everyone was like once a big dog or like a big fish in a small pond.
Mhm.
And then you get to a place like Oklahoma or just any prestigious Division I school, and everyone's pretty much like they were the man in high school. So you
So
got
there's a lot of ego at the beginning.
it's a lot of ego for sure, and you got to put that to the side, and yeah, it's crazy how you got to put that to the side for the betterment of the team, but that really doesn't happen until week 1, where you need to really not to say like egos are good at some points and then really bad at some points.
For sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I try to put my ego aside early on, but I would advise people not to put them away till week 1 of the regular season, because you kind of have to be selfish if you want to see the field and
Mm.
take care of you. It's not so much team until it's time to go play with the team, but at practice and things like that. I mean, you want to be able to block and do the right things for everybody, but I would say keep your ego for week
Keep
1.
keep it.
Yeah, keep it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting, and I can totally see that because you are saying you make a good point that you got to be selfish. You want to bring the best out of you, and like you say, ego is good and bad, but definitely good. I agree 100% because it's what kind of pushes you
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
to then to hit the next whatever it is goal that or move or to just bring your A game
Yep.
overall.
100%.
So is there any sort of like do you guys have counselors available, because there's young kids with a lot of athletic abilities,
Mhm.
and they're all coming together from different places. So do like the athletic departments, do they have any sort of counseling for guys like you to come in and kind of
Mhm.
help them be successful in any way, shape, or form, and
Yep.
make the transition easier?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you have resources for like your mental capacity at the time for anything academic related. If you had trouble at home, like growing up, and it's kind of weighing on you while you're at school, like you're thinking about things like that are going on back home, but they need you to focus and be the best version of you. Um, they did a good job of having those things in place,
Mm-hmm.
but how they're kind of promoted can probably be better. And I imagine like they may be a lot better now because you have athletes that are speaking out about, mental awareness or being
Mm-hmm.
depressed and things like that. So for us, it was there. I wish I had taken more advantage of certain things like that. I mean, just all the resources from tutors to, how to handle going from this position to this position or leaving your family and friends and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. But they are in place. But hopefully, we're doing a better job promoting them for young athletes today.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you would say like they're not like readily available readily, like they're more so you just have to kind of go find them.
Type of deal. Like, and not so much, but I just wish like, and I imagine it's like this now, but for then in 2011, 2012,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it wasn't really cool to speak about like being in a bad mental space or
Mm.
being depressed and things like that, you know. Now, I'm not saying it's cool to speak about it, but you see some pretty cool guys or some guys that you may look up to that are athletes, that are celebrities, right? And they speak about it. So you're like, man, it's okay for me to feel like this too. And it's actually more normal, you know, that whole thing where they say men can't talk. Well,
Mhm.
I think we're talking a lot now, you know. I
Yeah.
think we are. I really do. You
So,
know?
but it, yeah, I mean, you make a good point because it is a thing, and yeah, I guess right now it's more like acceptable to
Uh-huh.
talk about it, and
Yeah.
but it's definitely a thing, right? Because it's got to be. I mean, it's got to be exciting. I would think, like in your being in your position because you have a scholarship, but nobody really knows what's behind the doors, right? Like how you're feeling and such, and so
Right, right.
um,
Okay, I'll give a quick like before I got kicked out of University of Oklahoma, or dismissed from the team, if we want to go with a more better term. My little brother lived with me on campus that summer. My parents were they were gonna kill me for this. My parents were facing eviction, and it was just better. My older brother was in college. He was at Texas A&M Commerce at the time. I was at Oklahoma, so we had more of a red carpet, more resources. You know, we got an athletic cafeteria. They're paying me a stipend of, $880 a month. So I got an apartment and all this good stuff. And they decided it was better for my little brother to come up there with me. And which I didn't mind at all. You know, that's kind of how our family is. We just look out for one another. And maybe it weighed on me a little bit. Maybe it didn't. You know,
mm,
maybe I didn't go to class much that summer either. And that led to me getting dismissed from the team. But I know I was at home I would go to class and I would be thinking about my little brother being at my apartment and asking my roommates. He was, what, 9 at the time, I think. I'll be asking them, like, can you watch my brother while I go here? And it's funny because those guys hit me up and this movie came out from Clemson, or it was a Disney Channel movie, and this guy had his little brother living with him, and the university tried to kind of say something to him about it, but ultimately, all in all, I feel like that was like my exact kind of experience, and
mm,
it was funny when I got to watch it. But I feel like if those things would have been out there for me to go talk to somebody, I don't think any coaches knew. I don't, not that they would have disciplined me in any way, or I'm not sure what have came from it. But I wish I could have had something out there that said, hey, like, you can come talk to this coach about this,
yeah,
because just things like that. You never kind of know, like you say, you never kind of know. You get an athletic scholarship, but it's like a lot of NFL guys, they're millionaires, but they mentally, like, they may be depressed about anything, and so what you have really doesn't exempt you from feeling like anyone else.
right,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, that's and yeah, I highly respect that. Family looking out for family.
yeah,
So I respect that highly. So,
yeah, no,
um, yeah, hats off to you for doing
yeah,
that. And, it must have been hard, just having to, for one, be in a completely different environment
uh-huh,
where you're pushing yourself, and then also kind of having to help out outside of that, and
yeah,
the mental toll that takes.
yeah. And honestly, I will say, like, at the time, like, looking back on it, being older, you kind of start asking yourself, like, man, did that have an effect on me?
Hmm.
Like seriously? Because in the moment, I'm really not. I'm only 19. And I'm like, man, my little brother's up here with me. Like, he gets to see, like, me as a Division 1 athlete. Like, we're on top of the world. Like, as far as me and my roommates, we're feeling really good. We all kind of came from humble beginnings, so they don't mind. Like, they're still my best friends today, so they wouldn't mind my little brother being at the house, like being a little brother to them. He's in my room playing
Hmm.
the game and whatnot. So when it was going on, it was all good, and it's still all good. But I did ask myself, like, when I got older, like, did
Hmm.
that kind of did that mess with me a little bit? And
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, so you mentioned you got dismissed from the team.
uh,
How did that happen?
yep.
Or
So you have to make a certain percentage of classes
okay,
to stay like on the team, like just you know
yeah,
maybe like more than 70% of your classes you have to go to. Well, I can tell
No pass,
you,
no play.
I mean, it wasn't even no pass,
Well,
no play. It's like no go, no way. Like,
right. Oh, no good, no way. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was but it kind of just stems from that no pass, no play, you know.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how I ended up getting dismissed. They told me that my spring semester, my freshman year, like I said, I was coming off of this high from just starting these games my freshman year, leading our team in a bowl game as a freshman in receiving yards. I was feeling really good. Um, and I just had my sights set on the NFL. So I'm like, you know what, I'm going. I don't have to go to class. So I ended up getting penalized after the spring semester. I had a meeting with Coach Stoops and our president, President Bourne. He's like, you know, Kameel, like you missed this many classes. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, you know, so they put me under this like kind of trial period for the summer where they was like, hey, you have to go to all your classes this summer, you know, or you gonna be dismissed from the team. And I'm like, all of them? Like, I know guys who miss classes all the time. Like, you know, I'm not all of them. Like, I go to most of them. And I can recall this. I mean, I missed, you know, a handful of classes that summer. You know how summer class is. Like, if you miss one of those, it's like 3 days of like a miss during the, you know, regular semester, you know. So I remember like after the summer, like June rolls around, July rolls around. And granted, I don't miss any workouts, which is probably the toughest thing for an athlete, but I'm like, I'm not missing workouts, but class, I'm gonna miss a few classes. So once the July semester was over, summer semester, I report for fall camp like August 5th. Like we all report for camp. And I show up, I go to my locker and I go get my hook. I'm like, everything's in here, like I'm good. And what I mean by everything, just like my clothes, my laundry, you know, my gloves, all that, whatever. And Coach Stoops sees me walking down the hallway into the locker room, and as he's entering the building, he's like, "Kameel, what are you doing? I haven't made a decision on like we haven't evaluated, you know, your attendance. Like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, you shouldn't be here right now." So I'm like, okay. So I go to my room, and I remember just like going to go work out, and um, I would take a nap after I work out because I'm like, man, the team's working out. You know, I want to be doing something like I'm still motivated, you know, like to go after what I want out of athletics. And he shows up. I mean, I wake up from a nap, my phone's just going off. Like, no kidding. This when Twitter was really big, it just started growing. So my Twitter is going off. I'm like ding, ding, ding. I look at my phone and it's like Kameel Jackson, like in all these notifications. And Coach Stoops had a press conference where he so I have to back up a little bit if you don't mind. So between July and August, at some point, I tweeted out that I was going to transfer to Texas A&M. Right, we had just had one of my teammates had just left. I played with Johnny Manziel in the bowl games, and me and him were really tight at the time. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go play with Johnny, and then I'm gonna go follow my teammate who just left. He was a freshman as well, really good. His name was Brandon Williams, and I call him up. I'm like, man, I'm gonna come. He's like, yeah, come on, bro. Like, you know, come to A&M. That's where it's at. Blah blah blah. So I tweet that out, and that was like a double cross. Like it looked really bad on me. Um, so fast forward, Coach Stoops has that press conference I was speaking of, and that led to the notifications on my phone where he ultimately told me I was dismissed from the team in a press conference. And he gave me a ultimatum and said I could find it out on Twitter in the press conference, you know. And I said, and it's funny so that's how I got dismissed from the team, like exactly
Dang.
how it happened. Yep, yep.
How did you take that in the moment? How did it feel?
Oh, man. Um, my little brother's still up there with me. And I remember just being like, my stomach dropped, like dismissed from the team. Like, it feel like everything that you work for, everything that you know, back then when you signed when you sign your letter of intent, it's a 4-year commitment for sure. Unless things really like just are set on you transferring for whatever reason. So for me, I felt like I was losing it all. Like everything that I thought like that I wanted or I was gonna get, I thought I was losing it. Um, I could feel everyone's disappointment on me, like right then and there, even without them being disappointed
Oh,
or it didn't take anybody saying like that I didn't have their support. You know, just like the way of the world was just like, oh man, I just let everybody down. Like, dang, like, and then I remember calling my dad and I was like, I just need y'all to come get me. Like, and my little brother sitting there, I'm crying. I don't know if he started crying or not, but I was like, bro, like, I'm off the team. Like, it was crazy. That's a feeling I haven't felt. It's probably been a couple of instances in life that like have made my stomach drop like that, but that's definitely at the top for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't so it sounds like you didn't even see it coming.
No, I didn't. I like that. You know, probably just being naive as a young kid. You think chances are just just giving out and oh they gonna mess with me. I just did this, you know. But in that industry, you really do come a dime a dozen, you know. So
Mm.
it's one of those things where you just gotta realize like what you have at the moment, you know, what you're blessed with, and what you work for, and just take advantage of it, you know.
Mm,
Yeah,
mhm.
yeah,
Well, at the end of the day, it sounds like, something I mean, it was unfortunate. You could think of it if you think about it in the moment at the time, but at the end of the day, it's like, I think the biggest takeaway is if you actually learn from it
right,
and
right,
it makes you a better person.
yeah,
Because it's not like, oh, that was it. That was your entire life. No, that was a big piece of your life, but it wasn't your whole life.
100%,
It was
yeah,
just it was a small portion at that time that it was really big at the
hmm
moment.
hmm
And so, but if you learn from it and it makes you a better person, I mean, look at you today. Right now, you're coaching other athletes, and
right,
you have a much better understanding, I would assume, with
yeah,
those experiences, hearing you speak about it, right? Because it sounds like you're speaking from a place where you learned from it. Like,
uh-huh,
this is what I did,
yeah,
and this is what happened,
yep,
and this is why it happened, and so. But yeah, no, I mean it's beautiful, and that's why there's you learn for a reason. You learn because you didn't know.
hmm
Otherwise, if you would have known, then that would have been nice.
right,
But so yeah, I mean, I would say like that's very that's very big of you to like recognize it and be able to talk about it
uh-huh,
too,
uh-huh,
right? Because I'm sure it's not something easy to talk about and remember
right.
those
Yeah,
those
yeah,
feelings.
especially when you start talking about it, you do start to remember, like, I don't talk about it much in detail, like, someone might ask me, like, randomly too, like, I may be training a new client for the first time and a parent comes up to me and say, "Hey, man, what happened to Oklahoma?" It's like, "Now you gonna ask me just like that?"
Yeah.
Like, dang, like, I was like, "No, I wasn't going to class, man, it's being mature," you know? But, I think it's a lot more to the story, and,
Is there?
I mean, just, like, in a nutshell, just, and then, cause people ask me, like, I identify as a former Oklahoma athlete, but I played at other places from there, and I made some really good relationships.
Mm.
And
Which I was gonna ask, what did you do from there, right? You're
yeah,
you're feeling down. That's a good
um,
transition. You say, "Hey, Dad, come pick me up."
mhm,
So, do you start like how do you plan your next
right,
move, or how did and where did you go?
yeah. So my dad comes get me. He comes to get me the next day, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? My brother is at ULM, University of Louisiana Monroe. Um, so I'm like, man, maybe I can go there. Like, you know, and I was thinking I could go there and reunite with my brother. We haven't played together since high school, and even then, he was injured and I was playing. And then when he came back, I got injured, so we never really got a full season and almost full career with each other. And so I'm like, I'll just go with my brother and go play. Like it'll be fine. Like Um, so I call up ULM, or my brother kind of tells them what happens, and they watch this video of me on YouTube jumping out of a pool, and they like, we got to have him, and I want to go there too. So I remember I was at home for what 3 days, 4 days maybe, and then I was on the literally the first thing smoking. It was a Greyhound. I took it to Monroe, Louisiana, and I transferred there. Um, and that's that. Like I will say that was kind of always like a mindset of mine. Like, and when I say like, oh, this door closes, that don't mean I didn't close it on myself. You know, it's not like, oh, like something happened that was out of my control. Like, no, I kind of closed that door, but
Mm.
I definitely wanted to, and it was unintentional, not like, I foreseen it happen that way, but it was self-inflicted. Um, so I'm like, it'll be okay though. Like that's always me. Like it'll be okay. So I'm on a Greyhound to ULM. My brother comes to pick me up from this gas station, and now we're room buddies. We're dorm mates, and I got practice like 2 days later, and I was just feeling good. It was a better feeling than being there with my brother
Mm.
than being in Oklahoma. Granted, I didn't like that it wasn't, the bright lights and this prestigious, it's a great university. Like, had a great year that had a great season that year. Met some really good guys there too that are still my friends today. But the highlight of that was just being with my brother, kind of being humbled again. Not to say I was cocky in any way, but just a humbling experience. Like, hey, like you just
Yeah.
messed up big time. But-
Yeah. We're starting to build the blocks again.
right, right.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I did a little better going to class, but it was the same result.
Why do you think? Why did you think? Why do you think like okay, you go to the college you're proud of going at the beginning, you
Uh-huh.
don't go to class,
Uh-huh.
you get kicked out, you go to another college to play ball,
Mhm.
and then you still don't show up to class. Why do you think like now looking back?
Yeah. I don't think I was holding myself like that accountable for just handling business. Like, you can't really have one foot in and one foot out, and
Mhm.
that's constantly where I kept messing up was like, well, I want to go to the NFL. Like, I would tell myself, hey, like, look at me, like, no, you don't. Like, stop lying to yourself. Because if you want to, then you'll handle this part of it that requires you to actually even be able enough to get there. You can't just handle the the athletics. It comes with the academics, and you can't think that you're. I thought I was maybe not too good, but um, like untouchable in a sense. And I don't mean that in an athletic standpoint. I mean like what's the worst that can happen? Like try to like not outsmart the system, but
But
just think.
outsmart it.
Yeah, just kind of thinking like, yeah, like you're good. Like
Okay, did you think that maybe like just your athletic capabilities at the time, and the way you saw yourself was maybe like, okay, I can probably still get to the NFL even if I kind of slack over here,
well, you don't not necessarily because
or like why did you?
I would say it would be like procrastination on being mature. Like, oh, like when they tell me that it's like time for me to buckle down or when I really need to, then that's when I will. And then
Mm,
it's always too late at that point. Like I can honestly say I believe that that's really what it is. 'Cause I would be like, I'm good. Like, like
so you were just kind of waiting till you get that warning.
exactly, exactly. Giving myself chances that I wasn't the chance bearer. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So and when why do you say it's too late? Like once you get a warning, because it is a warning, right?
Mhm.
Why do you think it's too late at that point?
Well, just because you already kind of like you already hit the tripwire in a sense. I feel like you already kind of put that spotlight on yourself that says like you're not handling business. And
Mm.
history repeats itself. So you know, if I feel like not that it you can't change it, but doing the same thing and expecting different results is insane, right? So that was me. That was me for sure. Um, and my fiance was sitting out. She's like you'll wait for the house. Like she uses this term a lot. She says you'll wait for the house to be on fire, like and then like go like you want to see the smoke first. Like you always wait to see the
Mhm.
fire.
Yeah.
And I've definitely tried to get better at it. And I think being aware of like just like that characteristic, it looks a
Yeah.
lot different being an immature young man then or a young kid, however you want to define that, or define that. Like
Yeah.
now though, but for me now it's like more on the business side of things. A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
So you waited to get that warning. Yeah, you're just living a good life and saying I'm
Yeah.
gonna yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But, you know, I mean, what do you think, like, say there's an athlete that's in your same shoes right now going through those same emotions that you did, feeling the same, like, highness at that time, like,
Mhm.
that high of playing, doing what you wanna do, getting accepted at a good college, full ride, and they don't have this wisdom, like, if you could go back and give yourself an advice,
Mhm.
what would that be? Like, what do you think would stick to somebody that with that level of matureness?
Right. Find accountability like factor like in your life, like whatever it is. Like maybe it's your parents like and seeing disappointment on their face, or maybe you kind of just keeping it, 100% real with someone about what's going on with you and where you're not really like meeting the mark at, like where are you dropping the ball at? Who can you tell that you're dropping the ball? 'Cause it's not easy to call somebody and say, "Hey, I'm effing up here. I'm messing up here. Um, like what do I need to do, especially in the moment? But if you could try to, pull that out of yourself and and give it to someone else, then I feel like that would ultimately like change like how you start moving from there.
Yeah, because you know, like, like that's really interesting because, you know, I feel like especially nowadays that there's a lot more help like nowadays. So it
Mhm.
sounds like, and somebody in your same shoes today, you think, or any athlete, you think they would, you know, take advantage of where they're at with
Right.
more accountability,
Hmm.
like having somebody to talk to.
Right. 100%. Or just or something that can like kind of step into your life and help you see like that you are blessed. Like don't
Mindfulness.
exactly. So taking like that ULM situation, right, where I say, okay, the same thing happened, right? So check this out. So we have exam time in December, right before we go off for Christmas break. And um being immature, I'm like being unaware, whatever, just not handling business. Exam time comes around and I'm like, okay, I have my exams on these days, right? Literally don't make one exam. Like missed every exam I had, like which was like 4 or 5, right? Like to this day, I still don't even know how I can tell that story. Like people are like, hold on, you missed every exam? Like, yeah, like I thought my exams were on this day, but they were actually on this day. So I missed all of them. And my teachers were not, my professors were not allowing me to even make them up because my attendance prior to the exams were faulty. Um, so coaches called me in. They like, hey, you missed all your exams. Like, you failing all these classes now, right? Because you got a zero on all of these exams. And they like said, we have to take you off a scholarship next semester. Um, we have to take you off a scholarship, but you can rejoin the team in the summer, but you won't be with the team in the spring. So I'm like financial aid, like I'm used to kind of being on scholarship at least like at this point, like I'm at to like try to figure out my meal plan now and all that. I'm like, I really don't want to do that. And I'm really not having as much fun here anymore as I would like to. So I tell the coaches, you know what, it's fine. I'm just gonna transfer and I'm gonna go to junior college. And I go to Blinn Junior College and I'm like, man, like at this point, like I'm depressed. I'm like what's going on? Like, you know, I feel like I'm losing it all now. And I go into the weight room. We're having team lifts. This is my first week there. I want to say it's my second day. Um, my parents dropped me off there like at night times, like, and I stayed with one of the coaches. He had a dorm room. I stayed with him for about 3 weeks there until I got a dorm ready. They had a dorm ready for me. So just to kind of put in perspective, the position I now was in.
Hmm.
And that second day, we have someone from FCA walking into the weight room, and they're like, that's Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And that lady is walking up with a sign up sheet for people who want to go on this Christian retreat. It's like a 3-day stay in some log cabins with over, I want to say 40 universities or something like that, some crazy number. So I'm looking around, I'm seeing some people sign. I'll give it a go. I'm like,
Why do you think you made that decision? I'll give it a go.
I
Like,
think,
what did you feel inside?
yeah, I think internally I was just tired of making the same mistakes. And like I had, like at ULM, I honestly told myself, like, even on that, it was just a long Greyhound ride. I told myself, like, Mel, be better. Like, not that I was studious in high school, but I knew better than that. Like you're losing it. Like you're about to not get what you deserve and what you want and things that would set your family up because you're getting in your own way. Like,
Mhm.
and I needed something that was a lot bigger than me to really help me. That was my accountability factor. Was
Mm.
like, I said, you know what? I think I need some God in my life. And I grew up in the church. Um, so I'm like, and then, when you go off to college, it's a little harder to go to church every day. Like, just naturally, like, oh, Sunday, let's go to church. Like, it was a lot different. Um, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna sign up. And to fast forward during that trip, I ended up having a certain moving, I would say, like with the Holy Spirit and just feeling the way where I'm like, I'm crying in front of all these athletes inside of this church. And it's like, I'm feeling weird now. It's like, it's over 40 universities. So it's over, I mean, God, it's over 500 athletes for sure in there, male and female. And I remember from that point, I came back to campus. Me and my roommate, he was there too. Um, our school didn't have FCA at the time. So me and him both started running this FCA at our school at Blinn Junior College. We started running the FCA like on Wednesdays. We would do Bible study. And through those 3 days, I really just kind of opened my heart up and, just wanted to kind of just be, I don't know, just kind of to just do what I never had done. And I was just hold myself accountable as a Christian and just be more disciplined. And
So what does that mean for you, or what did it mean, like, to be more disciplined?
right, it meant that to realize that I truly was blessed, whether that be God
Mm.
given ability, whether that be to not be in jail, to not be, fond of gangs, for God to always just, kind of protect me and give me his grace, for the positions that I was in from Oklahoma to ULM. Um, like I want to realize like that I was blessed, and with my blessings, I want to be disciplined with my blessings so I can actually get like what I thought I wanted. Like people say, like God will give us our true heart's desires, and I didn't want to keep on like undermining that because I feel like He was handing them to me, and I was like one foot in,
Throwing
one
them
foot out.
away.
Yeah, 100%,
Mhm.
100%. Yep. And that just really drove me to like I wasn't trying to do FCA to make myself look like something I wasn't. I was teaching myself at the same times and holding myself accountable. And I was my best self at that school, like
Mm.
that I had been like, yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, it sounds like you were kind of looking for answers,
Hmm.
looking for guidance and within yourself.
Yeah, yep, 100%.
Um, so what was it in that fellowship, or in that those 3 days that you went away? It was 3 days, you
Yeah.
said, right? What you mentioned, you felt different. Like, what about it, or was there anything in particular, that activity or anything that
It was I guess a sermon. I forget the pastor's name, and I forgot exactly what he was speaking on. I just know I can recall that he used his cell phone as like as a tool in that sermon and talked about like God being this signal or whatever, right? But all in all, um, like when you're at church and you hear like the music and the piano and the melodies and you kind of start having those talks with yourself and God like in your head. And I remember just being like, I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. Like, And then next thing I know, like tears are running like crazy. I'm not when I say men can't talk, like I'm not a man that cries a ton. I guess I do. And then I was like, I'm trying to fight it. My lip is shivering, and it just started running. And I'm just like, I need you. Like, I want things to change. Like in my head, I'm not even saying these things out loud, but in my head, I can
Right.
just recall me saying like, tired. I want something to change. And then I knew that yeah, I just wanted different for myself.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
So it sounds like the energy was pretty strong in the room.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Prior to or at any point, like, did you ever take any moments to yourself to stop and think or meditate, or sit in prayer before that at any point? Like, I find that interesting. Like, is it maybe that we need to put ourselves in an environment where our hearts and our brains can kind of connect?
Uh-huh.
Did you ever had any sort of like meditation or just silent time, or prayer time? I guess different people practice different
Right,
things.
right. No, not at all. And
Yoga,
right. No, not nothing that was self-care driven at all,
self-care,
or
right?
just being mentally aware of like my space and the space that I'm in, and like you said, taking that me time. I hadn't. Of course now, 31, I can enjoy a good meditation, just kind of sitting there, palms up, on my back, just breathing slow and things like that. But prior to that moment, though, no, not at
No.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I guess you decide to go to this to be in this environment,
Hmm.
and then you're feeling differently.
Hmm.
That it's break. I guess it's kind of like a breakthrough,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah. Big time. That's
Uh,
exactly what I would define it as. Yeah.
like a breakthrough. And so, okay, you go back and at that point, you've been in different schools now. Now what's in your mind? Do you feel like, hey, the NFL, it's slipping away from my fingers,
Mhm.
plan B, or are you still going all out for NFL?
Yeah. I'm still going all out.
Mm.
Yeah, still going all out, and now I'm on campus, and I made like so I'm doing. You can't run FCA, without having a schedule for yourself and things like that. So I'm at school with I made myself an itinerary, literally like on I think it was like Excel or Outlook. I made these time blocks, and I allocated time for studying
Mm.
aside from my classes, and I would go to the library mandatory, and then I had my field time. Excuse me. And I remember just being like really proud of myself and saying, what, like we doing this now. Like how was I always supposed to do it, or maybe not, or maybe I wasn't supposed to do it like that, prior to really me just opening up my heart to God and to some other factors that,
So you started paying attention to where you were allocating your time.
100%, 100%.
You started being more aware,
Yeah,
and writing it down. And now, did you hold yourself accountable to those?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I would literally like, I've tried to do it in my adult life and like a few years back, but I would definitely like wake up and it would be like 6 a.m. Like in these time blocks, like 6 a.m. I remember like 6:10, 100 push-ups. And then I had like class, and then like after class it would be like live. No, it would be it would be library, and then video game. Like I gave myself like an hour on the game, and everybody knew like you could catch me in my room if you wanted to play like against me. I would be in my room at this time like to play you. Now I gotta go
Mm.
football field, like go train, dinner, and I would wake up every day and go eat breakfast and listen to my devotional. I would listen to gospel music and then read my devotional, and it would be me and the president of the junior college, first two in line every morning for breakfast. And I didn't know that until I made that schedule that he's the first one at the door, first one in the cafeteria for breakfast. So every morning for that semester, it would be me and him in there like greeting each other every morning, like breakfast. So I felt
Wow.
really good about what I was doing, you know.
Wow. What an experience, and how did that make you feel?
Yeah, just like you're doing the right things, being disciplined, like you're finally figuring it out.
Finally figuring it
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Giving myself like me giving myself really what I owe to myself, you know.
Mhm.
Yep, yep.
So did you have the idea of starting this FCA at your school like yourself, or was it a group of people?
Now it was just me and my roommate.
Just you and your roommate.
Yep, his name was we call him D Rain. He passed away a few years ago, which is a tragedy. It just didn't wake up out of his sleep. But, yeah, me and him just wanted to do it. Kind of had some similar upbringings and whatnot, and we would be in our room, kind of just talking a bunch, you know, just that being my roommate. And from the journey that I took, was a lot different than a lot of guys at junior college, you know. So I was there, kind of. A lot of people I feel like looked up to the athlete that I was there, you know. So me and him, we would talk a bunch. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, we
Mhm.
would get personal in our conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's I'm sorry about, the passing of your friend.
Yeah.
But it sounds like that really made a turn, like
Mhm.
that whole experience. And so what happened next
Yeah. So,
after?
so if you can recall, like this was maybe a few weeks ago, I had said something to one of my old teammates on Facebook, and I tagged you in the comments, and I said, I'm ready to do a podcast
Mm,
now.
mhm,
And
mhm.
I mean, I'm doing this FCA, and you know, uh, I'm praying every day. I'm pouring into other people, which that's always been a passion of mine. People, um, and I get a call that my uncle got murdered in South Bend, Indiana. Um, so now like everything I thought I was learning, everything I thought I was kind of gaining mentally to like overcome or to be better than, like it just slipped like in one night. Um,
Mm.
you know, and it was just innocent, just a straight bullet, you know. So I was just kind of feeling like real I was like, nah, not this, like not while I'm on this journey, not while I'm, you know, trying to have faith in God and, you know, other people, I guess. So from that moment, I I kind of lost that way. Like I don't think and it's probably why, but I didn't go back to like what I was doing prior to that at all. And I was like that same week, like I was like, nah, I'm done. Like y'all got it. I don't want no more parts of it. Um, so from then, like I literally got that call, and yep, it was on my way out from Blinn. So I had a decision to make, like where I was going to go play college football next after that, you know.
So you were done with with that school and or the fellowship you guys were
Yeah,
running, or and then you said I'm done, like I'm going to another school.
yeah. So I was done with the fellowship,
Okay.
and that was by choice for sure, but not the way like that. That kind of made my faith slip. That was like unintentional at the time. Like I didn't sign up to like feel like I don't know, like this can't be like not real, like as far as like touch and feel. But I'm like, no, this can't be. Um, you know, just my faith was just like, nah, you know,
Like, what do you mean? Like, did you question things or
100%. Yeah,
yeah.
it made me question a bunch. It made me question. Like I said, I grew up in the church. Um, and I quite frankly, it's been a challenge since, but I've always tried to keep a good grasp on my faith these days, especially with kids now and the family and wanting to lead them the right way. But um, yeah, just my faith in general. You know, I started to question like if heaven was real, if I was gonna see my uncle again. Um, I remember telling myself like, God, I'm gonna be mad at you, like if heaven not real and I don't get to see him again. You know, so it took me a while to go to church and even believe fully like I did after that. you know.
Mm, mm, I see. So it sounds like your uncle was played a pretty significant part
100%.
in your life.
Yeah.
How so?
Early on, me and my brother, we lived with our grandma, our Grammy, in South Bend, Indiana, and he was her youngest son. So he was in the home when like my dad and his older brother were out of the home. So he was like a big brother to us.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, it's just, seeing him, like we seen like him graduate high school, his first, girlfriends and stuff like that. And remember when he went from glasses to contacts and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely played a huge part. That was someone I could call when I would mess up and be scared to call my dad. I could call him and he'd be like,
mm,
handle it this way, like, blah blah blah. So yeah, it was huge. It was definitely huge.
I see. I see. And so, I'm sorry about his passing
Yeah,
as well. And you mentioned you brought up the post when you were writing that post. You were I think you were at his gravesite, right? Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah,
What were you thinking at the moment? Like
yeah. S-
what feelings?
So that was the first time I had been there by myself,
Mm,
and it still don't be feeling like it still don't feel right. That's honestly why I'm like I love South Bend, Indiana, but I feel like that's my connection with that city more than anything.
mm,
Um, I mean, of course, I still have family there I love, but that's my connection to that city. Was he was like our all time quarterback, like me and my brother's all time quarterback when we used to play. So I just felt, felt obviously sadness, and you feel for, like my grandma, like his mom, like you feel for her, and I feel for my dad and my uncle AD because I got a younger brother, and would be I'm devastated by my uncle. I would be supremely devastated about losing my little brother. I couldn't imagine. So just thinking about other people, not even just myself, and just out there talking to him one on one, like that's the closest I feel like I had been to him um, since we lost him, and since the last time I talked to him was like, well, like I'm right here, and I get to kind of talk to you in this certain little realm.
yeah. So when I think on the post you said now I'm ready. Like what did that mean?
Yeah, that was just like I hadn't felt like I had been angry, like after that, like I was really angry as a person. I was really like my uncle is the reason like for everything like that I do. I feel like, and not like in a cliche way, because people will say that and it's like you the reason for everything. Like nah, like how I treat people, like how I smile. Like he could never stop smiling. Like me and my brother both inherited that. Excuse me. Um, when I pour into other people's kids through athletics or through the nonprofit, it's really all in like the care and love like that my uncle gave us, like just genuinely, naturally, like, and that's the way he was with everybody, just real caring as a person, like, and didn't really have like a mean streak or just these big dimples that would light up a room, and energy that would rub off on anybody in a positive way. So, from everything from Sam Houston to like my little brother being with me in college to like being at Blinn Junior College. Like I was talking to one of my teammates from Blinn on that post, and he used to be at FCA, and he knew exactly like what was going on. Like he knew how I was affected after I lost my uncle. Like you could see it all on me, all over me, when that happened. Just like those guys knew me from being this athlete who was at a big time school, 5-star athlete. Now he's running FCA. And now he's like, he don't even want to talk to nobody. Like, like he like get away from me. Like,
Mhm.
So they kind of see me change, and he's someone I still talk to a lot today. So I knew that he knew like he knows a little bit of my journey, at least on that back end, that blend, and yeah.
Hmm. So you're at FCA, you hear the news, the tragic that happened with your uncle, and you said, I'm done with this." It sounds like maybe you were mad.
Mhm.
Um, at the time, and like what it's hard for me to imagine even like where's your mind at? Where are you going now?
Yeah.
What's especially thinking about it now, looking back as, a young athlete who just is going, it's morning, right?
Mhm.
And uh and you're angry. Like what's running through your mind at the time?
Yeah. Um, I will say I'm like now I'm really fueled to like go hard athletically. Like for me, like that's what I have like to like like that's my service. That's what I can do even now. So um like I want to go hard as an athlete. Like I'm gonna do this for my family type of deal. Like this for my uncle now. Like yeah,
Oh.
like it's like everybody about to feel my pain now, like through
Oh.
athletics. Yeah. Um so that's why I kind of took like my next mindset. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And where did you go?
So I ended up going to Grand Valley State, and I chose Grand Valley State, which is maybe 4 hours away from my Grammy's house
Mm.
in Indiana, just to get a little closer to her. Um, kind of just feeling like like let me go at least go be closer to her, not even like my mom and dad and my brothers. So I go to Grand Valley State in Michigan. Um, and I was committed to Tennessee at the time too, and I went to a Division II school. Not to be closer to home at all. Just some things happened with that, but I go to Grand Valley State, and there, it's all good. Like I'm not really happy. I'm not sad either. It's kind of just like even kill. I am motivated though to like still try to make the NFL and get to the league. Um, and then at that point, I get a phone call that I got twins on the way, or kids on the way at
Mm.
least. Get a phone call that I have a kid on the way, and later found out it was twins. But I got a call then, so you see the smile on my face now. So that was like a man, like I kind of feel refreshed. I feel like a lot of joy now that I haven't felt since I was doing FCA and all that good stuff.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're out there, you get a call that you're gonna be a dad.
yeah,
And that made you really happy?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's, and how old are your kids now?
9. Yeah,
9.
yep. They'll
Wow.
be 10 this year in October.
And was your, the is your baby mama, was she over there in school with you, or
Nah,
how did you meet her?
yeah, so I mean, we were together in high school at
Okay.
Sam. So she was still here. So in between, I guess they were conceived like from the time I was after Blinn and between Grand Valley State. So that was between like February and April, somewhere in there. So I didn't know until I went off to school. I definitely probably would have stayed a lot closer to, I
Mm.
probably would have chosen school in Texas, if I'd have known that, prior to going up there. But yeah, they were still here. So I remember like my mom jokes around and says this all the time. She's like, you have to put down like your duffel bag and pick up a diaper bag, because I went from I remember flying in, like they were born in October. I got to school in August. And the whole time I'm just kind of telling guys like, I'm real happy. I'm like, I got, especially when I found out they were twins. I'm like, I got twins on the way. Like telling all my teammates, my coaches, and at that point I was one of the older guys on the team now too. Just when you're like 21 in college and most of the guys are 18, 19, 20, they can't even legally buy alcohol. And so I'm like one of the old heads, and I'm telling guys I got twins on the way, and I just remember flying to Dallas and, being there for their birth and staying. They gave me like 3 days to stay with them, and they had to get back to the season and whatnot. Um,
So, did that change your plans at all? Like your mindset of did you stop and think, okay, how am I gonna go about my life now? I have kids now that your decisions will be made with at least them in mind,
Hmm.
right? And it's not just one, but you got
Right,
two.
right, right. A lot of things come at you fast, right?
Mom needs help.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
uh, for me at that time, I was just like, I didn't feel the weight of having kids or twins like immediately. And I think that was just due to me like having to leave and go right back, like, and then being so far away. So I'm like, 1,000 miles away, and I'm just playing football. But I'm like, man, I gotta like, get back home. I gotta figure something out. And I'm a junior at the time. So I'm like, I gotta enter the draft. Like now I gotta figure it out, like I need to go make some money. And so I remember like just saying, you know what, I'm gonna forego my senior season and try to go to the NFL. And I remember not doing my pro day because I was kind of content at the time with just going to the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna do a few tryouts for the CFL. I feel like I should make that fairly easy, which is not a naive mindset in itself. But that's all good. And so I come back home in December, and I really don't feel that pressure until then. Like, oh man, like, like my two babies right here, and somebody got to buy milk and diapers, and I was just eating off of my meal plan, a month ago and whatnot, or 2 months ago. So it's feeling a lot different now. And I remember coming home, and I think I immediately got a job at like Home Depot or something. Like I was like, I got to figure it out, and that looked a lot different for me because I had never had a job before, So I was like
and how old were you at this time?
21,
21.
and I'm like Home Depot, like I'm better than this, like at least I got my associates. I'm thinking like back then, and still being naive. I'm like, nah, I shouldn't be in here throwing boxes or like, and I'm still thinking like I still want to go play professional football. So I go to a couple CFL tryouts and make a team, and I signed a 2-year contract, like 50,000 for the first year, 51,000 for the next year, and things were. I'm like, okay, I can work with this. At least it's still playing ball and try to work myself to the NFL a little bit. Yep.
And so when you initially said, you went for the tryout CFL, and it wasn't really what, like, it was different than what you expected. How so?
So, when I said like, I'm thinking that at the time I thought, well, I could just go to the CFL. Like, oh, I could just go do that. It's like
Just do
it's
that.
not
Okay.
it's not the NFL. Those guys won't be as good. I'll be one of the best guys. And well, I signed that contract, and it was contingent upon a few things. I can't recall them, but it was contingent upon something. I forget in total detail, but when I signed the contract, I remember like it was like 5 guys who made the team from like this tryout, and then after the tryout, you had 3 days of mini camp. So the tryout. So let's say the tryout was for 2 days. I make the team, and like, hey, we want to extend you an offer. So I go in this room, I sign the contract. I call my kid's mom, call my parents, call my personal trainer at the time. I'm like, I just signed, blah blah blah. So I'm feeling real good, and well, mini camp roll around, and we got rookies that were drafted in the CFL, and we have like first year and second year players that are in the CFL. So these guys are professional athletes and handled themselves that way, and the competition was a lot more than what I expected it to be. And I had some really good days and a really good 2 days, and my last day wasn't as good. And I got a call like that they were going to basically accept my contract or go through with it, So I had that was my first time as almost a professional, feeling like, man, hold on, I just signed a contract, and now I can't make good on it. Like, y'all won't be bringing me to the team in up in Canada, like on this mini camp roster, and that's it. So that was when things really got real. Yeah. And you hear about those things with professional guys like in the NFL now, like the business side of it. Like you can have a job today and then not have a job tomorrow, but you might have just signed a contract that said you were going to make, you know, 100K every month, but and you thought you were going to make that for 12 months, you know, or eight months throughout the season, but you only made it for one, and now you don't have a job for the next 2 months. So now you have to figure out, you know, did you sustain that or did you, you know? Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay. So that was a whole learning curve
Oh yeah.
too.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how long were you there?
Just 3 days.
Just 3 days. That was it.
Yep, 3 days.
Okay.
3-day mini camp. Yep.
So, but okay. So then you got a contract. So did you end up playing for them?
No, I didn't.
No.
So the contract was terminated based on them just not bringing you to
On.
fully 100%. So it's
Oh,
contingent upon
okay.
you making it past mini camp. Yeah.
Okay. I
And then
see.
me at the time, I'm like, why y'all have me sign a contract before mini camp? You know, like don't have me sign. Shoot.
Okay, so you sign it anyways, but and then there's some contingencies, and
Yeah.
it's like okay, and that's why you said it was not really what you
Right,
expected.
right, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so
Mm.
okay. Oh man, yeah, that can be a curveball. And so, do you think you could have prepared better, or do you think do you think doing anything differently would have brought you maybe the results you were seeking for?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Like I kind of spoke of, it was 3-day mini camp and I had a good 2 days. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and when I say the competition was like really good there, that's me giving credit to just that league and those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely like held my own and performed really well. Was I feel like one of the top performers in the 2 days. Well, that third day, after the second day, it pushed us to what was it? Maybe Saturday. So guys are going out Friday night, you know, and we're in Florida. And I'm still kind of young, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have me some fun out in Florida. And man, that next day I woke up and my stomach was rumbling, and I just wasn't feeling good, and my focus was off a lot, and I don't think I was the same athlete that third day at camp. And
Mm.
I can recall dropping like 2 post balls like that, where would have been walk-in touchdowns, and I remember just being like, dang, I think I maybe just like dropped the opportunity here. I'm not sure. Even though I thought I was still signed on, but I just kind of recall like those 2 days. That last day and those 2 post routes have kind of haunted me. Like, and why did you drop those? Like, you know,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
you mentioned, you went out and you weren't feeling your
yeah,
best.
yeah.
And so, did you have any like, what were your, did you have any like rituals? I mean, at this point, you've been playing ball for quite some time
Uh-huh.
now. You have some experience under your belt.
Mhm.
Did you have like a set ritual in the mornings on important days? Maybe like, for example, these 3 days were kind of important.
Mhm.
Game days prior to that, you even like your practice routines or game days. Do you have any particular, at least intention to do, like such as, hey, this is what I'm going to do to be on my A game,
Right.
or
This stretch really, I've always been a person that like really cared about stretching. So at nighttime, I would stretch really good in the mornings. Other than that, like then I didn't at all. You know,
no?
like wasn't really paying attention or being that aware of like how to set myself up for the best success, like in those next days to come. You know, um, and then I feel like as a testament to what's out there now, is guys have that I don't feel a way when I say it like this. I don't feel a way about like how I had planned and what was out there for us, but I feel like it's really neat and good now for the resource that guys have, where you can see exactly how Devontae Smith or CeeDee Lamb prepares for game day almost, or even their diet. You know, back then that information you had to, if you didn't have a cousin that was in the NFL or something like that, or was really close to someone that was living that lifestyle of a professional athlete, that information and those resources was just really hard. So you kind of have to wing it a little bit. But My thing was just stretching for me back then. Yeah.
What was your nutrition like at the time, like throughout your athletic career? Like, did you focus on any particular type of, not necessarily diet, but
hmm
more so like targets, like, okay, I want to eat so much protein, or
Yeah.
anything like that, any measured
Not,
nutrition,
nah,
nothing?
not at all. Just you try not to eat like a bunch of fried foods, or like foods that would make you kind of feel really heavy. You want to really. I always felt good to feel really light and
Hmm.
fueled, never full. So that was always a big thing. Like make sure you're fueled and not full.
Hmm. Any vitamins or any vitamin intakes?
No, my mom used to try to. What was crazy is like my mom would try to make us like coming up. Like when I say coming up, I mean like junior high, high school. Um, those packs of vitamins at the gas stations that got like 8 pills in them, like 8 vitamins.
I guess, yeah.
Oh
I
my,
think I've seen them. I
yeah. She used to
never.
try to like make us take those like crazy. Oh my god! But that was all the vitamin intake for me though, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And I think about it because of, you're putting yourself out and doing so much exercise. There's so much
hmm
going on in your day. I mean, you get probably mentally and physically exhausted being a young athlete in school and stuff. So,
Yeah.
did you have any sort of like self-care ritual, practice, anything where it could be, whether any sort of self-care?
hmm if water counts, like I remember just walking around with a gallon of water.
Yeah.
Like that would be just making sure like the hydration was up, and it wasn't like for anything like skincare related or anything. It was just purely like they used to kind of tell us coaches we used to say like be a camel, store water in your body so you can use it for the days to come.
Mm,
So that would be one of the things that I would say I would practice probably the most.
okay,
Yeah.
I see. I see. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's crazy to think because just the body goes through so
Right,
much.
right. No, yeah, 100%. I mean, like
Do you
crit-
think about that nowadays? Like today?
a little bit for sure. Not like how it would have like just benefited me, but how it would have benefited the entire generation of athletes. Like kind of like I said, like I mean, we had whey protein. That was like a thing because you wanted to get bigger, faster, stronger. So that was like one of the things back then was like maybe a protein shake, like maybe some creatine. But aside from that, like we weren't going out. We couldn't afford to go out and go buy like things extra like that. And if we could, just those resources were just not out like they are now. Like with social media, like I say, and seeing exactly what guys are eating, like it's just a lot different.
Mhm.
So I mean, even the foods we were eating almost the same foods a lot now. A lot of athletes are getting variety of foods and power bowls and stuff like that. And I'm a Smoothie King fiend now. I wish I was on it a lot more, like in high school and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, I see. So you the contract you signed, basically it's no good.
Uh
You
huh.
have two babies waiting for you at
Uh
home.
huh. Uh
You're
huh.
like, Home Depot's not it for me.
Yeah.
So then where are you at now?
So I'm trying to figure out.
Now you have babies to figure
Yeah.
out too.
Right. I'm trying to figure out. So I ultimately I put football on the back burner because that's like a dream that when you're chasing it, it doesn't pay. So kind of smart enough to know that, and I want to be able to take care of my kids, and I want this woman to look at me like, hey, like you're doing what you're supposed to do, or at least you're trying, and not even just trying, but you're doing it for us. And we both had great support systems that kind of helped take a load off us a little bit, being our parents. But I remember like working like at FedEx and things like that to try to figure it out. That was 2014. So that same year, excuse me, I'm at FedEx and I'm a little stubborn on things like that. Like, and that can still be seen as immature for back then. But I was still like, no, I'm a little better than this. Which is, I'll say that wholeheartedly today. And there's no knock on anybody who works there. It's just I felt like I was a little better than that at the time, and I needed more financially, and I wanted more like for myself, like early on, like I'm not looking to build with this company, you know. So um I had to be a little, I would say selfish, like about like what I wanted, or like I still know I wanted to feel like I still wanted to live like a NFL lifestyle without getting to the NFL, like if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's. I think that just you thinking, "Hey, I deserve better," or more so, "I can do
Right,
better."
100%. Yeah.
So it's. I don't think it's really like anything, um, like bad or even I guess selfish is a really interesting word because I think it has kind of like a sense of, hey, selfish is kind of bad, but it's really not bad
Hmm. Hmm.
because if you're looking out to be the best version of yourself, I mean that translates to everything and everyone around you,
Right, right.
right? So if you can be your better self, it just I think it overall trickles over into other areas, and even at the time, you're trying to figure out where to go or where to be,
Hmm.
and you're realizing, hey, this is not for me. I can do better.
Yeah.
So when was Slide House
Hmm.
born?
And so we went through a few name changes, um, but Slide House itself, 2 years ago, I would say. Um, but the actual like that foundation, that philosophy, that happened right in 2014 as well. So somewhere around November, December of 2014. Um, so I was being stubborn about working jobs. Like I work this job and I quit because I don't like it, or just being young, don't want to be breaking my back doing things. Um, and I remember just being like, I reached out to my old trainer and I asked him if I could go work at his gym. I'm like, Coach, I'm trying to figure it out. You got room for me? And I was always a hard worker and athletically and whatnot. And he's one of my mentors today and a guy I look up to. And he's one of the reasons for the season as well. Like him, my uncle, and an old principal of mine. But Clarence Nevels was a guy that helped me kind of not build Slide House, but being under his wing and working in his gym um, allowed me to kind of get this thing going in the right direction.
When you asked to kind of go under his wing, did you have like the idea of Slide House, or was it born while you were there?
Yeah, it kind of was born while I was there. Yeah,
Okay. And what about it? Like what did anything happen where like the light just turned on, or
um, not necessarily. I just knew that I wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to
mm,
have clients,
mm,
and I wanted to be one of the best, and like I wanted to train the best of the athletes. Like I wanted the high profile athletes. I wanted the NFL guys. You know, I wanted the college guys. I always said I'm gonna get to the NFL, even if it's not being a player. I'm gonna get there. You know,
mm.
so that was kind of my way in. Like that's what I wanted for it.
What did you think, or even now, like what do you have to bring to the table that you think maybe that you can help other people get to those levels? Like what about you is differently?
Just my knowledge of the game. I do a really good job of staying ahead of the learning curve. Um, like the game has changed, or techniques have changed so much since I was a player. So now it's on me to learn techniques, implement those techniques into what I can do and what I can teach, from a philosophy standpoint, from like a technical standpoint, like, hey, this is how you do this. Philosophy is like, how I explain why you need to do it and what we really believe in, like as far as our core, like why this works. And then just my passion. So like
Mm.
knowledge, staying ahead of the learning curve, and passion that I bring to the table. Um, yeah, I don't cheat. Like any athlete, I pour my all to every athlete, no matter if they're 5-star, no star, NFL, youth football. I don't waver from a certain passion at all.
Hmm. And how do you continue, like staying on top of like the different changes.
Uh-huh.
I don't, I'm just curious, like,
Yeah, watching a ton of football. You
Okay.
gotta watch a ton of football, and then I'm a guy that puts my cleats on and go push things to the test. So I'm on the field trying out. Okay, this guy just did this on Sunday. This guy's doing this on Saturday. Not this guy, but this keeps showing up. You know,
Mm.
so let me go put this leverage against like let me line up this box over here, this bag, and then run against it and see if I can kind of mimic that and make that a transitional drill for guys to be able to work and things like that. Um, and then you just like never stop like feeding yourself knowledge. Like you never really know as much as you think you do. You can always like just keep learning. So being a football guy, I remember last year I spent like all summer studying track and field and studying running techniques. Um,
Mm.
and they differ a little bit in our game, but a bunch of research basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I see. And so you said Slide House has been through a few names. How
Uh,
high? Why did it stick with Slide House?
yeah. Great question. It just felt like that it was the most organic, the most authentic. The name actually derives from so me and my brother, we would like if we were out somewhere, or if he wasn't at home and I was, and we would get on the phone call with each other, we would say, like, what are you about to go do? Or he'd tell me like, when you going home? It's like I'm about to slide house. Like it just mean like I'm about to go home. Like slide. Yeah. So it's
Okay.
like when you slide somewhere, it's a term of getting somewhere, going,
Okay.
and somehow, some way, the football world has picked up on sliding as a term of um, being very agile about like doing something of smooth. So it just tied in hand in hand. Like, remember telling my brother like, "Hey, this a name I got for the business, Slide House," and he was like, "I like that." Like, I'm like, "Yeah, we used to always, we always say it like, hey, I'm at the Slide House." It's like, all right, I'll be there in a minute too, or something. So, yep,
Hmm.
yep.
Okay, I see. So what's inspired you like uh throughout your career and even through school, right? Because that's or even before that, because that's kind of where everything started, your journey in the athletic
hmm
environment. Did anybody in particular or any particular circumstance like what keeps you pushing?
I would say what keeps me pushing at this point is my kids for sure, and people's like, it's funny because I get these disclaimers and say like, not to be cliche, but my kids for sure keep me going. Um, like I want them to see me like I always want to be their superhero. I always want to be able to have them experience certain things like, hey, like daddy got NFL like sideline passes, or are you like Justin Jefferson? Like daddy worked with that guy, or CeeDee Lamb, like yeah, we went to school together, like or the same school, and so it's funny because as a parent, we don't like. I'm not sure if I don't seek my kids' approval at all, but I definitely like intentionally. I want to be their hero like every day. Like I want to
Mm.
make sure I'm being that, and um, just being able to provide like different like events or like just different settings and rooms that they can be able to step into because of what daddy did.
Experiences.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think? It sounds like right now, like your kids are your biggest driving force. Which myself, having a daughter, I can relate with that 100%. And so, for you, like what in with your experiences that you've had so far, I mean, you've had many. You've been very
Mhm,
fortunate, right, to fit in many rooms because you're good at what you do.
mhm.
Um, and now we know that it takes more than just being good. It takes other certain types of disciplines,
Right.
right?
100%. Oh my God, 100%.
So, in having little ones, watching their daddy,
Uh-huh.
and growing, because we know God how fast they grow,
Mhm.
and they're watching, right? So, what are some values that you hope you can teach either by teaching or even by being that teaching of yourself basically walking the walk, right? Like, what is it that you want to instill in your
Yeah.
kids?
It's good faith in God for sure. Um, and then like having good faith in yourself, like, you know, kind of need to be like, I say like this, like you gotta be stubborn about like your dreams or like what you want for yourself. Like, they may seem like I seen it on the meme the other day that said you may like your dreams are delusional to people until like they happen or like their reality. And people count you out for like your wildest like aspirations. Like, but I say like stick with them, like nothing is unobtainable, So um treating people right. Like I say, my people are my passion, and I hope to pass that down to my kids. Like, and if you can do something for somebody to help them,
Mm.
like do it. Like don't act don't act like that you better than anybody. Like it's okay for you to work harder and to want more. And I'm not saying that people who don't, uh, like work hard or people who procrastinate and become lazy, like they don't deserve certain things, or they're giving themselves some false hope about what they want. But if you see people trying and you're in a position to help them, like then help. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, I see. And so, it sounds like with what you do, Slide Hustle, you're helping other athletes. You like working with people.
mhm.
You like kind of pushing them, and you hope and are your kids part of like what you do? Like, do they see you coaching? Are they on the sidelines watching
Yeah,
daddy?
yeah. So all my kids are aware that I'm coaching. I have 4 total. So everybody knows like I'm Coach Jackson. Like when I go to my kids' school, like everybody like, hey, Cash is like your dad is a coach. Like that's Coach Jackson at Slide House. Like a couple of his classmates, actually have like reached out to me and their parents about joining in. Um, my oldest 2 kids actually don't play football, so that's kind of well, my oldest son doesn't play football, but they're well aware. They're out at sessions, and sometimes they'll record, which the video may not come out as good, but they'll
Mm.
ask, can they like grab a phone and record some drills and things like that. And um, yeah, it's just I would say they're a part of it for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's really cool. That's something. I mean, I only have one daughter right now. She's 2, but
Mhm.
um, similarly, I would want for her to be around everything we do,
Yeah,
for her to watch and just learn and have fun
yeah,
and just have a good experience. So that's pretty cool. Way to go, Dad. Not all dads carry their kids around, so
yeah, yeah.
so that's
I,
that's
I used to have a backpack where I would. It was like a backpack slash like he could like sit inside of it, and I would be out there coaching my youngest. Like I would be coaching my youngest son. I had that little device for him, and
hmm
I only used it like 3 times actually, like hold a session in half a minute. But he was in it before he could walk out there with me on my back that session.
mm.
So yes,
That's neat. So you've been running Slide House now for 2 years, and what would you say? I mean, dealing with people, it's all fun and stuff, but
mm,
I deal with people all the time as well,
mm,
and real estate, and we quickly learn there's a lot of different personalities.
yeah,
There's some personalities we can relate with. I'm like, oh, and then there's some other ones that you learn from.
hmm,
So, dealing with people, dealing with athletes, and helping them reach their goals. What have been some of the challenges you faced?
that's a good question.
Whether it's on the field or it's off the field,
Yeah,
you know.
I would say being more business savvy. Like some people, they could not care less about how much you know and how well you can train their kid if you don't communicate, right? Like, so some people like hold communication to the highest degree, and they may go get a $2 trainer, but he communicates on point with them, and they value that more than what he
Mm,
can actually provide for their kid, like so much, Or some people um are the total opposite. They like, nah, you like, man, you do the right things on the football field. Um, I don't mind if you're lacking here, or this is not like your strongest suit. So And I've learned to appreciate like both mindsets or any mindset, like because my clients are honestly the not the kids I train, but the parents for me. Until we're talking about like my collegiate and professional players, the parents are like they'll help you or show you more, tell you more about like how you're doing than anything, how you're like running your business at least. A lot of them are not that knowledgeable on the football field, but as far as like being business savvy and things like that, like they've given good advice. And I always do like this survey, like after every off season, it's like, hey, like where can I be better at it? What did you like? What didn't you like? That kind of thing. So, yep.
And what have you learned from that feedback?
Yeah, that I can communicate a lot better. Just getting in front of communication with guys. Like the earlier the better. Like for instance, it could be about to rain, and I'm watching the weather, and I won't train in the rain just because of the injury risk that goes up when we're in the rain, and the quality of work goes down a little bit. Um, so I watch the rain and to like watch the weather to see like, okay, what is it gonna do? Like, and I'll know all day like it may be a possibility that I'll cancel, maybe not, and um, then it starts raining. I'm like, I'll cancel, but that was an hour before the workout, like let's say, and that doesn't really give off, just having good business ethics, so much. And, you want to be able to kind of tell people so they can plan their days a lot more accordingly and things like that. So, um, I used to try to. I always thought that was because I had like this not to say that blue collar is more business savvy than white collar, but I always had like this organic, authentic, family oriented kind of mindset. And for me, I used to think that would allow me to be more loose when it came to how I would handle the business side of it. Like, you give me like that's why I give it to my fiance now. I'm like, you communicate to everybody. You better than me at this. Then I don't want that. But I used to think that I could be a lot more loose that way because I bring like this blue collar mindset that was like, it's okay. Like, we're gonna still make sure we get the work in, and it's all about the work. It's all about the work. But that's not everybody's mindset, so you gotta
Hmm.
adjust if you want to really see success in it.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge there, and of course, right? Like, I mean, working with people and running a business, because running a business and doing what you do best are two different things.
Right, 100%.
It's kind of like let's any job, right? Even you mentioned earlier Home Depot, so let's just use Home Depot as an example. You
Mhm.
can be a really good worker at Home Depot, opening boxes and putting stuff where they go, and even helping or assisting the customers.
Uh-huh.
However, and then you get promoted to being a manager. But just because you were a really good worker doesn't mean that you're going to be a really good manager,
Right.
because that's a different role. Now you have to like manage people and
Mhm.
make sure that it's a different job for managing others that did what you did really good. So, and I think kind of goes hand in hand with business people or entrepreneurs or even like coaches. I've spoken with many coaches, and I think we can all agree that doing what you do best, like say jiu-jitsu coach or football coach
Mhm.
or basketball coach, and then you get to the business side, and that's a whole nother skill that people we all learn along the way.
Right, right. Yeah.
Right. And it goes in business too with in real estate. I'm in real estate, and yeah, you can learn how to it's selling a house is different than all the prep work that goes into understanding the person, the business side, right? and
Uh-huh.
and talking to people, and different things are important for different people,
Yeah.
right? Kind of like you were
100%.
saying. And so it's you learn along the way, but I think that that's a given. It's not like you're born
Mhm.
knowing all of these things. And so I think the drive at the end of the day is really what's important, and the passion,
Yeah.
right? Like for example, like you are really passionate about football, and I can hear it in your words, right?
Yeah,
every
100%.
every everything, every story, every situation, you believe in it so much that you could say there was a few blind spots along the way that now you can see,
Hmm.
but you were
Hmm.
just kind of blinded with your passion, which at the end of the day, I personally think that that's the biggest thing. Everything else you can figure it out
Yeah,
along the way,
yeah, I agree.
because if you're not passionate, then it's not going to be strong enough for you to surpass the other roadblocks
Hmm.
that come with learning and building something, right? Building a business.
Hmm.
So that's yeah, the communication part and everything. So that's cool. So where do you where do you see Slide House going? Like how do you see envision the future for it?
Yeah, multi-purpose facility for sure. So there's places like, if you're familiar with like exos or like athletic sport, it's like these multi-purpose training facilities where athletes go to get ready for NFL combines, NBA combines. Um, that's what I want in this area for sure.
Mm.
In the DFW, and we'll like I kind of see that happening in the next like maybe 3 to 5 years. And my mentor watches and say, "Why you not thinking sooner? Like manifest sooner." But it's like 3 to 5 years for sure. Like I want to just be able to train still like more of the top athletes, more of the NFL athletes, more of the big time college players and those guys that are trying to turn their dreams into reality.
And what does it take to be like a top athlete?
Man, discipline for sure. You gotta, like I said, you can only put one thing in a search engine. If you got too much in the search engine, then you're getting too many results of what not to do and how not to carry yourself. So I think just putting training hours in. You know, it's funny. I'll mention a bunch of like mentors or reference mentors because I try to look for advice from anybody and be a sponge. But it takes like 100 training hours like to grow athletically in something, and that's 18 minutes a day for a year, and that's the bare minimum. So if you can try to quadruple that and get you 400 training hours a year, and stay on top of it, I think that you'll be successful as an athlete. There's some things like genetics and God-given ability that play a part as well. Just God's speed, God's timing. But depending on what level that you're at, junior high, there's ways to be successful. High school, ways to be successful, and thereon.
Mm-hmm. And like, how do you train? So say, you have somebody signs up, says, Coach Jackson, I want to be a great, receiver.
Hmm.
Like, how do you prepare to, like, how do you prepare when somebody first comes to your face? Like, how do you tackle it?
Yeah. Step
Like,
one.
how do you understand what they want, and then how do you process, how do you plan, and then how do you execute?
Yeah. So just kind of seeing where they're at, and it's not really like a evaluation thing, but you eval or you evaluate as they go through what I call like movement patterns, because before an athlete can, excuse me, receivers, they run routes, they block. Um, Routes it could be a route called cookie, right? But routes change and angles don't. And how you attack angles as you're running forward and or going this way, 45 degrees on this rectangular box that's a football field is not going to change. So you take these angles and you see if they can master the angles. You see if their body can master footwork. You see
Mm.
if their body can master certain torque and certain shoulder movements. And from there, you start to dive in onto route running and releases and or rather releases and route running and catching the football, just things that require you to be a really good receiver. But the main thing will always be movement for me and my philosophy. Getting the body to bend so it doesn't break, and um, being able to decelerate and reaccelerate and change directions and things like that.
Mm. And so when you're working with these athletes, and you see there's room for improvement, do you have exercises to help them
Yeah.
with all of this? Is that kind of like where what you tackle and what you do,
Yeah,
or
100%. Yep. So exercises, drills, and some drills get more repetitive than others because they kind of lay the foundation more for you. You want to work the things that you do, or you want to work the things that are required of you the most. So if this only shows up 5% of the time, then we probably won't work that so much. But if the body is required to do this movement throughout the football game, then we're going to probably drill that more in the beginning stages.
hmm
So you just kind of got to figure out what are you going to be asked to do from a positional standpoint, even when it comes to different sports, right? Got a couple of volleyball athletes where they're required to jump and then get back and then get low and then maybe run up to another spot with minimal movement. You would train those athletes different than the softball athlete.
right. Now, as as an athlete, and this, and I think we even touched base a little bit earlier. It's like accountability it can go a long ways, right? So, how do you do you hold your athletes accountable to certain, um, uh, you know, to certain things that they should or should not do to help them be successful? Are you like an accountability coach as well, or do you mainly focus really just on the field, the games, the movements?
Yeah, I would say some give and take. Like there's some college athletes that I work with, and I've been working with them since they were freshmen in high school. That I hold those guys a lot more accountable. Like we talk a ton, so I reach out to them like almost daily and kind of staying on them. But then some of your junior high athletes, it's mainly just on the field thing, not letting them get away with mistakes on the field, and
Mm.
then at that point, the parents have a certain job to do and a certain commitment level to uphold on, which they usually don't have a problem with it because they're spending their money, investing to the athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So on the back end of that, it's just them kind of holding them more accountable, or
Yeah,
otherwise you find yourself wasting some good money.
I see. Yeah. What do you think makes a good coach a good coach? Especially with your level of experience, throughout high school, different colleges you've been going to. So you have like really good experience. That's when I guess you can say that's another positive thing, is that you're able to learn from
Yeah,
different people.
right, 100%.
And you kind of see, I'm sure, it's like, okay, what makes a good coach a good coach?
Yeah. Speaking of what you just said, I've been to a lot of different places, and we call those like branches on a tree. So understand that there's more than one way to Mississippi. Like there's always more than one way to get done, even with your philosophy. And you can be hell bent on, being firm on your philosophy, and that's fine because that's what you believe in. But I feel like that you can't go and drill to an athlete that that's the only way to get something done successfully is through your philosophy, and that's where ego comes into play as a coach. Like, um, you can't really have an ego that much and think that your way is the best way. And it's challenging for me to say that because I feel like my way is the best way. But if I hear a way that's better, then it's on me to go do the research and actually see like, was this way better? And then now, do I want to adopt that philosophy? Do I understand that to adopt it? Do I want to use it, or do I want to give my athletes disclaimers when I say, hey, I teach it this way, I seen it done and taught this way, I'm going to give you the option to do either or because I understand that you can be successful in doing it both.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important in any area. Really, it's being open uh, to different ideas, but also having the knowledge to, hey, I'm not just gonna adopt anything that I hear. Let me go figure it out. Let me learn some more
Right. Yeah.
before I replace it. But in I don't know. I personally think even in business, I mean, this can really relate on many different things, or even parenting. Right? You may have a certain idea about something, and then you hear something else, and you may want to adopt and change what you do because I mean we're ever changing, right? So
Hmm.
whoever things are being static, I mean, really life changes, period, right? And things change all the time. So I think it's a really important quality for any good leader to have, to be open to new ideas,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also being cautious about them, right? Of course.
Right. Like you can't just be like, ooh, shiny, like, and
Right,
think like,
go.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
no, go do the research and see, as far as coaching, like where did you get this from?
Yeah.
And if I do implement it into a philosophy, let me do it on some of my core guys first and let them know, hey, I just want to test this out with you right quick and just
Mhm.
see something. And then take it from a higher level athlete to a lower level athlete. That could be by talent or by grade level, and see how they handle it. And, then I always say this, and then give credit where it's due if you're going to do that.
Mm.
You don't have to. It's kind of, that's a personal thing, like not giving credit. You don't have to shine a light on somebody else that's in a competitive space as you, but again, ego, you just can't really have an ego in it, when you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And you said you run a nonprofit
Yeah.
as well. And so when was that born, and what's the purpose
Yeah.
or the big why behind that?
Yeah. And so that was born 2020. And I was staying, it was funny, I was staying with a friend and I was in his dining room and I was like, I've been wanting to do a nonprofit because, like I said, people are my passion, my purpose. I've always wanted to just pour into things that were just bigger than me or leave a legacy. Or I understand that people need help out here, and I want to be someone that helps. Like always, no matter what's going on, I want to try to do more with less. And it was the purpose is I always drop our mission statement. Someone's gonna get me for this, but it's we want to serve we want to provide the tools necessary to underserved youth and minorities through athletics, academics, and mentorship. Um, and the name Stance and Start comes from the receiver position that you get into, or the drill. Like when you line up, you're in your stance, and then when the ball goes, it's just like start. So a coach will say, okay, we got stance and start. And that's the first thing that you do as a receiver. That's what you learn is your stance and start. So
Mm.
I want to take that and, just kind of, it may not be self-explanatory, but I want to take that and, I wanted to at least, and mold and deliver and help and serve some guys from the start of like where they're at, and to see if we can make a change out here.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very like kind and very like deep from you, to want to, because at the end of the day, it's your time, right?
Mhm.
And you have a family, you have a business,
Yeah.
you have a life. Speaking of, I mean, it's interesting. Um, but I was, and on top of that, you want to kind of do more for others.
Right. Yeah.
But speaking of life, like how in your experience, like how easy or difficult is it to, be a friend, be a son,
Mhm.
be a husband, have a business,
Right.
be a
Right.
good coach, be there for your students. Like how do you manage your time and to be there for all, to wear all these different hats, because it's different hats, right?
Yeah.
Versus like the most regular person, which let's say somebody that has a job from 8 to 5, nothing's changed, and that's the routine every time.
Yeah.
But for a coach, I'm sure your schedule just varies.
Right. 100%. And that's honestly like part of the business you want to try to get better at is like keep it almost routine on the scheduling. But for me, I think I've done a good job of putting all those things almost in the same umbrella. So like a lot of my free youth camps and things that I do for athletes that are like complimentary, because nothing's really free but complimentary. Um, they're powered by my nonprofit organization, or at least they're put on by my nonprofit. Just ran through Slide House, So we've done some things like give lunches away and things like that, and
Mm.
I honestly like just like to cook anyway. So like it could just be us going to go feed the homeless for a day. And that's like when I'm not training, because I feel like one of the advantages is that as an entrepreneur and the way that football trainer as myself works is I have a lot of free time. I do, because you kind of work a little smarter, not harder. So you're not just on the football field like around the clock if you don't have to be. You can kind of set yourself up for success financially by, you know, getting the majority of athletes in the same sessions, and now you're running three of those, and they're an hour and a half apiece. So just working a little smarter that way. So, um, and then
Yeah.
my family is heavily involved, like my fiance Brianna, and like my kids will be on the football field with me, like so. And then like my daughter, like my youngest daughter, my youngest two kids live with me primarily. My oldest two don't. So my youngest two kids are always training. Like
Hmm.
my youngest daughter is always in groups with the boys doing stuff, and when we're at home, we're playing Uno or Monopoly and stuff like that. So I have a lot of good work-life balance, but it doesn't really feel like work on the football field until it's 100 degrees out there. It's like now you out there cooking. So
Yeah, no kidding. Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean, it's these days have been so
yeah, it's
hot.
crazy. It's
And
crazy.
you train out of town too, right?
Yeah,
Like I think I've seen some of your posts out of town
yep,
working.
yep,
So
100%.
so it's not just DFW. It's is it just wherever I guess an athlete needs it, or how
Um,
does that work with you?
yeah, so it has to make sense financially. Like, it can't just be one athlete who wants me to drive up to Oklahoma and then
Right.
get a session in. But if we can get about 6 to 8 athletes to commit to, 2, 3 days of work, then that makes sense for us financially. So we'll go try to knock it out. But yeah, we're mainly up in Oklahoma and College Station, and we'll go down to Baylor, Waco, and um,
And how do you connect with these with these athletes? Like what how do you get in their circle?
yeah, mainly just word of mouth or social media.
Oh, okay.
Trying to make sure that we staying active with the algorithm.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. So
Uh,
they'll see us and reach out.
Okay, okay. And your kids, do they play any sports right now? Do you plan on coaching their sports? How
Yeah.
does
So my oldest two are in basketball. I really don't fool with basketball, but like I said, I'm a movement specialist. So from a technical standpoint, like basically everything coordination and agility and the movements that requires you to be successful on the basketball court. But I won't go teach them how to dribble or hit a jump shot.
Okay.
And
Yeah, yeah.
but my youngest daughter is probably the toughest athlete I know right now because
Really?
she's been training forever, and like she's 5, she'll be 6 this year. So she's been with me every day of her life around some type of athletics. So she kind of has that going.
Oh, okay, she's got that fire,
Yeah,
huh?
yes. You'll see her. You'll see her this year. I'll post some videos from her, like little boys and girls club soccer league, and she gonna be getting it going.
Oh, that is so sweet. So, it's interesting being like a coach and a father and your kids being very close to you. Do they see you as a coach too? Like how's your
Yeah.
relationship with them, or like is it like a dad, like just a dad, or
So I would say like it's like half and half, and that's something I think that parents slash coaches have to like intentionally like focus on. Is like, hey,
mhm.
like you can't be even when you're coaching your kids, like you gotta kind of let them see you. Like you gotta remind yourself, like, well, they're still gonna look at you as dad, so you can go get on to them, but they're not gonna be able to separate dad and coach too much, and I think that's on us to do. So, I would say like they see me as dad for sure. Like I'm not trying to wear a coach's hat like in the house and all that, or
Okay.
nothing like that. But she knows when she me on the football field and I'm getting on to God, she like, daddy coaching right now, like,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's really interesting, because to many levels, and I'm sure especially as time goes on, like a lot of coaches can be seen as like father figure, so with kids, and you have kind of both, and
Hmm.
it's like, when do you switch from coach mode to dad mode
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
so that's really cool, and really a blessing that you're able to bring your kids around and they're able to see like a high level of an athlete
Mhm.
on the court, on the field. um do you have any sort of goals with your organization, like with your nonprofit?
Just like something I always tell myself is I have aspirations I want to directly impact 1 million people. And
Mm.
I'm not sure how to really track that. Like, what I need, like a counter or something. Like, it won't go up. I need 100 counters to try to get that done. But I know I want to directly impact 1 million people.
1 million people, that's a lot of
It's a lot
people.
of people. It's a
how
lot of
how,
people.
how do you how do you plan on doing that?
And the thing is, like, I feel like it's not that challenging these days with social media. Like, you know,
And you want to impact them, like, in what way?
just so like they're aware of something that we did that was different. So there may be 100 backpacks this year to a family that didn't have them, or 100 bikes. Like, I know before my time is up, I would love for that to be a thing that, like, now these people knew exactly, like, who Stance and Start was, and they knew that we did like what we could do to like help them. Um, I've had, like, just I've helped people and people have helped me and paid it forward and all that good stuff. And I just feel like it's my duty. Like I keep kind of saying, it's my passion to really help people. So
Mm.
um,
Where do you think that comes from?
I think just being a good person. I think I was raised really good by my parents, and like that whole it takes a village thing. Um, like my uncle was a good person, like I said, but I think just really like um, just understanding that, like, everybody may need help at some point, or whatever the case may be.
Mm.
I just feel like ultimately, I think God really blessed me to have like a big heart. Seriously,
Mm.
like, yeah.
Yeah. So, and speaking of God, like earlier you mentioned, you grew up with those teachings, and then when your uncle passed, you started questioning things, and maybe it was just a feeling, maybe the feelings you were going through. So,
Mhm.
at what point did you kind of get over that and said, yeah, no, like, God is in me, and
Yeah. And I would say, like, daily reminders are key for me. But I understand that things just don't happen. Um, like, I know when I had kids, I wanted to like make sure like I was leading them down the right way. And um, I've always said, like, I always thought to myself like that, the Bible itself is a great guide for holding yourself accountable for a certain way of living. Like, um, some stories may be, I don't know, a little iffy. I don't know, but I know for me, it allows me to say, like, check myself. So I wanted that for sure when I had kids, um, and just being like the head of a household. You want to. I wanted to at least make sure that I had something to like hold on to. And I want to have someone that I can talk to when I maybe feel like, man, I can't go to nobody. Like, I want to be able to talk to God, and I feel like I got a heavenly Father who cares about me and sets me up for what I want in life, and breathes air into me every morning and things like that.
mm, are you currently, like, are you part of any, like, church right now? Or is it just your kind of like your personal relationship with your?
Yeah, personal relationship for sure. And I say that, like, not like church is a bad thing at all. I mean, it's for for whoever, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, I guess, for sure. But I'm more like investing in my personal relationship with God, and just I know He's covering me. I've been saying it for about a month now. It's how I get my hash browns at Waffle House, but I'm covered and smothered, like in God's grace, and I know He got me. So yeah, I'm kind of invested on that personal relationship more than anything.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's I think that's important anyways, for anyone, and for people to say, I don't believe in anything. I think everybody believes in something,
Yeah, yeah.
whether it's, and I think it's important because it kind of helps. For example, I like to meditate, right?
Mhm.
And I do believe in God. Um, and I think that like within those moments, I think those silent moments of like meditation, it's just because the whole world, there's so much noise,
Mhm.
right? And it's easy for our thoughts to get distracted, and sometimes with the path that we want to go, or sometimes we're confused about the way to go. And I think that just taking the time to kind of talk to someone, which it may be a God, it may be the self, it may be the field, it may be,
Right, right, yeah.
whatever. I think that's really important for mental health,
Yeah,
especially
100%.
nowadays with we all know how mental health is the crisis. That's the new pandemic, really.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Um, and so I think, how do you now, as a coach, as a father, how do you today stay focused, stay um like with your mental health more so?
Yeah.
Like how do you stay grounded?
Uh-huh. I would say kind of doing things that I like to do. So that's like working out, um, reading for sure. I just picked up a new book, like well, a month ago, I guess would be. I'm a slow reader too, so a new book a month ago for me right
Yeah.
now. But
What kind of books do you read?
self-help,
Self-help.
yeah, for sure. Like I mean, so oh my God, this is backtrack way too much, but um yeah, like the self-help books, like I remember the first book I picked up, I still had like up until a couple years ago, and actually I took it on my way out when I got dismissed from Oklahoma. I took that book with me, and it was supposed to be returned to the library that we had in our athletic dorm, but I kept it because it was the first book I cracked open like on my own,
Mm.
and it was self-help and um,
Do you remember the title by chance?
13 visionaries, 13 creative geniuses of the world today. Or I'm sorry, 13 Black visionaries or African American visionaries of the world today.
Mm.
And it was when I had like Oprah in there and like I think Nelson Mandela and like Michael Jackson and even Michael Jordan. And they try to speak about different these different like entertainers and people like from different like backgrounds and different professionalisms now who are doing really good and whatnot. And um I carry one thing with me from that book still. And it was a line in there that talked about Michael Jackson and if he had they talked about being kind of like extraordinary and doing things that are like you can't follow the protocol, follow you can't make a prototype following a protocol. And they talked about him and how he probably wouldn't have invented the moonwalk if he had went to dance school and stuff like that. So
Mm.
just kind of taking like an unorthodox approach to like being great. Like in a
Yeah.
sense, yeah.
Okay, very very cool. And so I'm gonna kind of move towards like Slide House again.
Mhm.
I'm curious to know, so if like there's any athlete out there like listening to this, like what what advice would you give to athletes coming up wanting to make it to the NFL?
Mhm.
Um, like what advice would you have for good gifted athletes?
Put in the training hours. You know, you have to put in above all, put in the training hours. You know, 24 hours in a day. You know, give yourself some rest, but 5 days out of a 7 day week. You know, put in 3 hours a day to your craft, and that doesn't have to be physically. That could be mentally. You watching film. You know, you studying an opponent. Watching videos over yourself. Like just put in the training hours because they add up and you know, even for black belts in jujitsu or karate, like you have to master certain things, and to be a master at your technique, you need to put in the training hours.
Put in the time.
Yep.
Yeah. How important, you mentioned rest. How important do you think rest is for athletes, especially.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it's very important, but I think it is it's more important for your mental stability than it is like for your physical. Like I know people out here who are doing just fine running on 5, 6 hours of sleep and not getting 8 hours a day. But like physically, but mentally, I believe that it just start to weigh on you. Everyone will hit a wall. No matter how hard you go, you'll hit a wall. You'll get tired. You'll get fatigued, and then at that point, the body won't do what you need it to do. So it'll take down the mental first, and then the physical. But yeah, it's definitely important.
Mm. And what about nutrition? Like for an athlete, how important do you think that is to be on top of like what you consume?
Yeah. It's important for sure, especially if you're trying to like build your body up. Now, if you're one of the tip top athletes out here and you're much like the cream of the crop, you know, I would like to think that you eating an apple over me eating a Snickers won't make a difference in anything. But man, what I sure hate for it to come down to that. So I think if you can control like some of those elite things about being great, then you try to do it. You don't really want to leave it up to that being a question.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. What about like filling your body with vitamins? Are you a vitamin guy at all? Do you look into that?
I'm not a huge vitamin guy. Like I take supplements. Like I said I'm on supplements. I'm gonna sound it really bad, but like I take supplements like today, but um, I haven't done enough research on you know this guy taking this and this guy taking that for me to really speak on how
Mm.
important it would be. Just you
Okay,
know what I'm saying.
I see.
But I imagine anything that you fill your body with that can be better and helps you feel better, then I'm all for it. But I'm no like professional or like advocate for that like right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, yeah. All right. Do you have any thoughts or anything else you would like to share that maybe that's that's been impactful in your career?
Um. Yeah. Just I would say like my fiance, like she's done like a really good job of like I got this thing with me that like social media. I always say like my kids are like my broke best friends, and I don't post them a bunch on socials because they don't really bring me any financial success that way. Like I try to use my social media as a tool for the business
Hmm.
around the board. But my fiance Brianna has done a tremendous job, like just running things and helping us become successful. And we haven't really reached our heights yet, our highest point at all. But the points that we have reached, she's help us get there for sure. And then yeah,
Shout out.
yeah, big shout out. Yeah, big shout out. And then my kids just keeping me motivated. Like I feel like just they won't even probably watch this until they a little older. But my kids, like shout out to them though, like for sure. Just keeping me going and always like being my purpose and reason.
Do you think your kids have made you a better person?
100%, 100%. Yeah, they keeping me young too, so I'm appreciating that for sure.
Yes. Yeah, they do a good job of keeping us on our toes, huh?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so every episode we end it with two final questions,
Okay.
and the first one is, what is the best advice you've ever received?
Mm. Um, hire your boss.
Hire your boss.
Yeah, yeah. I would say that's probably some of the best advice I've received. And it came from one of my peers too, which is exact same age, and usually advice probably comes from an elder. But when I heard that, it just stuck with me. Just kind of keeping people around you that can do more for you. I've always said if you're the smartest person in every room that you in, then you in the wrong room.
Mm,
So I've always tried to keep people around me that at least thought they were smarter than me. Now, that's a joke. But all right, just always try to keep people around that can help me get to a new point. Yeah.
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 Okay. Hire your boss.
Yeah.
The second question is, what is your personal definition of happiness? Because happiness can look different
hmm
for different people.
hmm
What does happiness look like for you?
So when it comes to happiness, um, I feel like the happiness comes from like happenings, like things happening,
Mm.
and I would say just like getting. So with that being said, like getting what you work for, like being able to obtain what you work for, I feel like there's no better feeling than when you actually like put in the work and you know that you put in the work for something and you obtain it. And then on the back end of that, it's like it can almost be no worse feeling than working for something and putting your all into it and then not getting it.
Mm.
It's almost a slap in the face to you, you know. So that's it for me for sure. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Well, I want to thank you, Coach Jackson,
Yep.
for being here today and sharing your story with us, and your kids when they see it, and and opening up about your experiences. I really appreciate that.
No, thank you. I appreciate y'all for sure.
I know it's not an easy thing to, kind of reminisce on the good and, and the trips and everything.
Mhm.
So, I want to thank you for that. And for anybody listening, how can people get a hold of you?
Yep. So Instagram, Facebook, Kameel Jackson, Sly House Performance, YouTube, Sly House Jack. You'll see me on there for sure. Just see a guy running with a football, and you'll know it's us. So.
All right. Well, there you go. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.